Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. I just wanted to hop on here and do a quick live because it's been a while. I like to touch base with you guys weekly, if not within a few weeks, all that stuff. Um, I wanted to, and of course, if you jump on, I hope people do. That's the whole point of doing these lives. You may be hearing my daughter's iPad right now. And yes, I am. I'm laying on the couch with my blankie because I wanted to talk about cycles. so, in case you're hopping on here, my name is Leanne, and I have been recovering from chronic illness, chronic symptoms using the mind body approach for specifically the mind body approach for the last almost 4.5 years, which is crazy. But my journey started 6 years ago. And let me tell you, it's been a whole reckoning of sorts. It has made me just the TLDR. It's been a complete unfurling of who I am, how I live my life, what I do, my relationships. Um, I've done a lot of courses, a lot of coaching, and I'm still on my journey. I know sometimes I make the joke with Helmet because he recovered doing this work for 3 years. I'm 4 and almost a half years into it. So it's like, man, it's really long and I know how hard it can be. That's why I'm like documenting this and connecting with a lot of people who, if you are in the same boat where you feel like you know all the mind body stuff, you're seeing people that when they share their success story, they got ill long after you and they got better before. I have stuff in my teeth. That's so funny. Before you. Um, I've been there, done that, but let me tell you, there are a lot of us out there where we've tried different things. We know everything about brain retraining. We know what's happening with our body. We know that the key is to accept and allow and engage with your life, all of that. And it's the journey, right? And I've just accepted that even on my hardest moments, my hardest days, I mean, there's no other option. There's nothing else to do but to continue on. Because you can't even really give up. You know what I mean? Like, even on your hardest days when you feel like, or your hardest moments when you feel like it's unbearable, you're bearing it already. There is a smart, intuitive part of you that knows like that this is the journey. And but there's the other part of you that's just like kicking and screaming and complaining the whole way. And it's just like sitting with all of that. But you know what? You don't have to take my advice because I'm not recovered yet. I don't consider myself recovered yet. So, to each his own, of course, because everyone's journey is unique to them. The lessons are unique to them and all that. And I think that's just how life is. Life is that way. But anyway, I wanted to talk specifically today, this video, really quickly about. I know you can probably hear my washer going too. There's a lot going on. I wanted to talk about cycles because, like, I don't hear a lot of discourse, or maybe I just haven't found them, but I don't hear a lot of discourse in the mind body space specifically about um, the fact that women and men are different biologically. We're different. Like, women, we are bleeding, you know, commonly on average, we are bleeding once a month, you know. Men can't even comprehend that. Like, sometimes I think about that. I think I tweeted this a long time ago, but sometimes, like, when I'm interacting with a man, sometimes there's a voice in my head going, he has no idea I'm bleeding right now. Like, I'm literally bleeding right now from my lady area. You know what I mean? Like, men don't have that going on. And I feel like, the more I'm learning about the body, the more I'm learning about masculine and feminine, how completely different they are, but they are wonderfully, flawlessly uh, complementary to each other when done right. But we live in a society, especially Western society, we live in a society where it's really not, at least the conditioning is, it's not really made for women who have cycles, right? Like if you've been on this mind body journey, you probably learn that for women, we have 4 phases in our cycle, and we are legitimately 4 different women every month because of what our hormones are doing, at any given time in the month. And then we cycle and we do it over and over again. And so I have been kind of studying this lightly on the side too, of course, with all this mind body stuff, because it's just so fascinating to me. Like, for the first time in your life, because chronic illness, chronic symptoms have, when you're on this journey, has forced you to literally stop everything. You've been coerced to stop everything. And you have to like rebuild and redesign your life basically from scratch, right? From like new experiences, new core beliefs that you gain or that you rewire on this journey. Like, I think I've mentioned it in many videos where I've hit points many times on my journey where I'm like, I have to rebuild. Like, I'm changing internally. I'm changing so much. And like, I think I created a life based on this really great false self, but it wasn't really myself. Like all these questions, this existential crisis stuff starts coming up. And I've just accepted that. I mean, I don't have to completely flip my life around, although some people have done that. Um, or some people end up doing that on this journey where they're just like, I'm so different. And I'm, so naturally all these things in my external world need to change, right? Like, people leave jobs, people leave relationships, people leave homes, locations, cities, states, countries, even. So I'm kind of like, I've been toying with all of that stuff. But anyway, going back to the cycle thing. So I've just been, what was my point to that? Oh, yeah. No, so this journey really makes you like get to know your body really, really in a way that you've never paid attention before. I can speak for myself. I've been learning how much I've lived in the masculine, pushing, coercing, keeping up, wanting to be part of the tribe, but not realizing that I was trying to be a man. I'm a woman. Women and men are so different. We are wired so differently. Our hormones work differently. Our bodies work differently. Um, and I'm finding that, uh, yeah, like, oh, well, I'll give you this. I'll tell you this. My husband and I recently had this conversation where we were like, I think our energies were inverted this whole time. Where I was coming up super masculine, and then by default, he's had to like kind of revert to feminine just by default. So it was really inverted, but and that's why we would clash all the time, because it's like we were showing up inverted with inverted energies, but we so like there is always a wisdom in us knowing, like this your true sense of self that's always trying to pull you back to who you really are. You know what I'm saying? So we've had this clash of we're showing up with these inverted energies, but there is a desire for us to show up as, you know, my true feminine, his true masculine. But then that's not the pattern we've been in. So our nervous systems are like freaking out. So then we go back and forth, and there's setbacks, there's clashes, it's a whole thing, right? So anyway, yeah. So in diving into that, I've been learning about cycle syncing, where there are literally, actually, let's go back. So in antiquity and in other cultures right now, like not Western culture, but like I'm sure you know this, when women are on their periods, when they're menstruating, they go to a hut for until they're done. Like they isolate themselves, but it's not anything negative. It's so that the woman can bleed in peace. She can rest. and people bring her warm foods for her uterus. Like, it's true self-care. And which is why I'm laying in bed right now, or laying on the couch right now, because I'm on day 3 of my cycle. And it's funny because now I'm thinking back to how my life was, how I was before all this illness stuff started. And I was one of those women that took pride in showing up consistently, showing up high energy, high performance at work, at church, in my family, always with a lot of energy. Um, even if I was bleeding. And I remember the audacity of myself. I remember when women would complain about, like, oh, I'm on my period. I feel this way. I feel that way, like at work and stuff. I would secretly in the back of my head be like, it's so terrible. In the back of my head, I would be like, what's the big deal? Like, I'm bleeding too, and I'm still showing up exactly the same. Like, basically, is what I didn't know is what I was saying at the time. But what I was saying was, I'm showing up as a man and you're weak, woman. Like, just get on with it. Period is normal. That was my approach before, just really trying to be a man. And um, it was go, go, go all the time, keep up. I've shared this many times. So now I'm learning about cycle syncing, where there are women out there who they they live their lives in flow with their cycle. And at first, right, it sounds like it could be confining, because it's like, oh, like you're making choices, you're deciding to stay in based on your cycle, or to do you're deciding to do things or eat things based on your cycle. Like, how confining is that? But the more, because at this point, especially if you've been on the journey for a long time, like, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Your whole life's been uprooted anyway. So you just experiment and integrate different things. So I've been doing that lately on top of all my allowing work, right? Just really showing the body safety, no matter what sensations are coming up, no matter what the brain is sending, right? It's just like learning to allow these awful, uncomfortable sensations, and at times very scary, right? Because you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can trust my body. Um, but you do anyway, you know. But now I'm kind of like, I've noticed, okay, I've noticed this for a while now, maybe a year, maybe in the last year, maybe in the last few months or so, I would say. My cycle has not been a bother at all, but I have changed my relationship to it. I would kind of just, I wouldn't be hateful towards my cycle, but I would think that every time I got it in prior, it was an inconvenience. And yeah, it was an inconvenience, and it was just like kind of gross. That was kind of my stance on it, or indifferent, or I was just indifferent to it. No care at all towards it. But since I've been changing my narrative and my beliefs about my body, like even now, and I've been practicing, I would say this for the last at least 8 months to a year. Just when my period would come, I would be so thankful for it. And I would look at it. It's so funny, I know. But I would look at it and I would just be like, I'm so thankful for this. I'm so thankful for being a woman who has a uterus that sustained 3 children, you know? And I would look at the bleed and I would just be like so thankful, and just think that it was just so beautiful. So I've been doing that, and it's been genuine. And I realized a few months ago where I was like, I have no PMS symptoms. I mean, other than emotional fluctuations, obviously, like, yeah, like I get really, really weepy, but that's been my whole journey too. I actually, the days prior to the this current cycle, I really, like, I cried a lot. A lot of grief came up, but we just allow it all. Like, a lot of stuff was coming up, particularly for the cycle. But as far as physical symptoms, I mean, I don't count the emotional up and down because I just think that this whole journey is emotional that way because it's literally all this repressed emotions coming out, right? But like I've never had cramps. Bloating has improved so much. I haven't noticed huge uh changes in energy levels. I didn't really have an energy level issue when it came to my period, like not bothersome at all. But yeah, I just noticed little to no PMS symptoms, and I attribute that to all of this mind body work. But also my flow has been different. It's been like textbook perfect, which is weird for me because I've always had since a teenager, I've always had like really long, really heavy bleeds. So like to the point where I have to double up my pad because I would just leak everywhere all the time and I would have to change it so much. But I would say for the last at least 8 months to a year, my bleed has been like no leaks. It's been like fine, like almost borderline light-ish to where I would get scared. I'm like, oh my God, is there something wrong? Like, why is it so light? But compared to my heavy bleeds before, this feels light. But apparently, and my bleeds they would be heavy for like full 7 days, sometimes 8 days. But now it's like textbook perfect, like 5 days heavy. Like I wouldn't even say heavy bleed. I would say like moderate to heavy, I guess, for day 2, day 3, and then it tapers off. Like I've never had my period like this before. So that's been exciting. That's been probably the biggest physical change I've seen. And I do think it's attributing to me changing my relationship to my period, my cycle, my me being a woman and just really appreciating womanhood and just being a woman. I don't think I've ever experienced that before because I was trying to be a man like my whole life. And it makes sense because my dad wasn't around. My mom was trying her best. So, as the oldest daughter, as the eldest daughter, who had to be the man? I had to be the man, or what I thought, And then we live in a world where it's all about like consistency, like keep showing up, push, hustle, you know? And when the more you learn about the feminine energy does not work that way. We are very flow. We are flowy. We are light. We are productive, but we're flowy about it because our role is different as the feminine. So, and in the last few months, it's been a lot of educating my husband about, like, I literally have to tell him, I need you to stop treating me like I'm a man. I am not a man. I am a woman. And you know what? In hindsight, I'm like, me telling him that was probably projection. I'm probably telling myself that. There's a part of me saying, Leanne, like, stop treating yourself like you're a man. You're not. You're a woman. Women are so different. I'm learning how to be a woman for the first time in my life, to be honest. So, yeah. So I'm just diving through all that. So actually, I've been learning. Yeah. So, oh my God, so scattered. Yeah, I've been learning about cycle syncing and how women they live their lives and they make choices based on their cycle. And it's been so freeing and so healthy for them. I actually know, and I've run into women where, like, when they get their bleed, they stay home and they sleep for and do nothing for the first 3 days. And then they're ready to go and they have no other health issues, because they're listening to their body. Now, like I said, we do live in a world where, depending on what you do and what responsibilities you have or whatever, I know a lot of women can't do that. They can't, because life is life and circumstances are circumstances, and these things come up. But I feel like I'm blessed to be in a position and to have a job where I can actually choose to do this, at least for part of the day. I mean, I have kids, I got to go pick up my kids from school and all that stuff, but at least to have this ability and flexibility and allowance to say, hey, I honor my bleed and I honor myself. I honor my womanhood. So I'm going to nourish myself. I'm going to rest. um because I don't know, you guys, when you're on the mind body approach journey, rewiring, especially for me, like it's been over 4.5 years now, I'm finding more inclination to just stop pushing. Like I just don't want to push anymore. And I do think there's a difference between pushing and doing stuff that you don't want to do because you genuinely don't want to do it versus like because you feel awful. And then there's also this like, even if I wasn't dealing with chronic symptoms, I still believe that I would, as I learn to love myself and take care of myself and understand what I need and what I've needed this whole time, um, just as a woman, you know, then yeah, I think I would make these, I would hope that I would start to listen to my body and still continue to make these changes where I'm like, okay, I'm bleeding. I'm going to honor that I'm bleeding. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to rest, stuff like that. So, whereas before it was just like, I'm bleeding, but I'm going to continue on as normal. And so, so random thoughts. Comment down below if anything I said resonated. If you recognize, if you're on this journey and you happen to be a woman, um, like what's your take on this? What's your stance? Because it is true. Like the more I'm learning how physically different women are from men, and how we're meant to flow and ride the waves. We're not meant to, you know, live in a straight line. Yes, we can be consistent. I'm not saying that, oh, women shouldn't be consistent. Like we need rest. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we do. The fundamental truth is women and men are biologically, we're so different. Energies, the way our bodies work. And so I think there is a natural rhythm that needs to be honored that way. And I think it's for the best, it's for the betterment of the woman and for the man and for everyone. So because when the woman starts honoring her femininity, then men, I feel like that leaves space for men to naturally be masculine. And I just personally think that's how we were naturally all designed to be. And it works flawlessly if we can get it right. So let me know what you think. And then I'm actually I also, PCOS has been coming up because I know a few women in my personal life with PCOS, which I would say is still mind body, right? Because it's just fluctuation of hormones. And I'm thinking specifically of the women that I know with PCOS. And if you don't know what PCOS is, um, there's a bunch of symptoms uh, collected under that label, but a big one is they don't get their periods regularly. And I was just thinking about like what could be the subconscious implications of that? Like what could be the secondary gain there? And I was like, I wonder if those women who don't get their periods, right, it's their subconscious brain's uh attempt to be more like a man because they feel like you have to be a man to survive, like like adaptation, like maladaptive stuff, where it's like, yeah. So I think about all these things. I could be totally off and totally wrong, but when I think about the women who have that condition in my life, it makes sense to me that maybe they might have an underlying belief that they need to be more like a man who doesn't have periods in order to survive the world or whatever they're going through. And knowing their circumstances and how they grew up, it makes sense to me. Again, all conjecture. It's just stuff I think about because I always think like, man, what is the brain trying to do? What is the brain trying to communicate here? So with that, I heard my washer is done, so I'm gonna go move clothes, take it easy, maybe watch a movie, maybe check in with work. But yeah, I'm just gonna chill today, honor my bleed, and yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.